Aston Martin's next car may look familiar from a distance, but underneath the surface, Adrian Newey has ordered changes so deep that the team had to send part of the chassis through crash testing all over again. That is not a normal upgrade. It is not a new wing, a small floor adjustment, or a desperate collection of parts thrown onto the car before a race weekend. This is Aston Martin admitting that the original AMR26 was not good enough, then rebuilding the most important areas without technically replacing the entire machine. And the frightening part is not what Aston Martin has revealed. It is what Newey still refuses to promise. Because while rumors suggest a dramatic performance gain, the team has not confirmed any lap time figure. Newey has only said that Aston Martin expects a large step. A large step from the man who designed some of the most dominant cars in Formula One history could mean almost anything. But to understand why this upgrade has attracted so much attention, you first need to understand how bad the situation became, why the original car failed, and why the changes arriving in Hungary could decide far more than a few championship points. Subscribe to the channel. Aston Martin entered the new era with almost everything a Formula One team could ask for. A modern factory. A works partnership with Honda. Two-time world champion Fernando Alonso. And Adrian Newey, the designer whose cars won championships with Williams, McLaren, and Red Bull. From the outside, it looked like the perfect combination. A wealthy team, a proven engine manufacturer, an ambitious owner, and the most celebrated technical mind in the sport. But Formula One does not reward impressive names. It rewards preparation. And Aston Martin began the most important project in its modern history already behind. Newey later admitted that serious work on the 2026 car did not begin until the middle of March in 2025. The first model did not enter the wind tunnel until the middle of April. By then, rival teams had already spent months studying the new regulations, testing ideas, rejecting weak concepts, and improving stronger ones. Imagine arriving at an exam after everyone else received the questions weeks earlier. You may be intelligent. You may have excellent equipment. You may even understand the subject better than most people in the room. But you are still trying to catch up while everyone else is refining their answers. That delay created pressure across the entire project. And pressure in Formula One does not stay inside one department. It spreads. A late aerodynamic decision can change the cooling layout. A cooling change can affect the bodywork. Different bodywork can alter the weight distribution. More weight can force compromises in the suspension. And suddenly, one delay becomes 10 connected problems. That was the first hidden weakness of the AMR26. The car was not simply slow because one clever idea failed. It was built inside a development process that had already lost valuable time. But even then, Aston Martin believed it could recover. Newey had joined the project. Honda was building a new power unit specifically for the team. The factory had the tools. The drivers had experience. The expectation was that testing would reveal a fast car that only needed refinement. Instead, testing revealed something much more serious. Aston Martin struggled to complete meaningful running because of power unit integration problems. That phrase sounds technical, but the basic idea is simple. An engine does not sit inside a Formula One car like a battery inside a remote control. It is connected to cooling systems, electronics, the gearbox, the rear suspension, the bodywork, and the structure of the car itself. Every part must work with everything around it. Think of it like trying to place a large new kitchen appliance inside a space designed before its exact size was known. The appliance may be powerful. The kitchen may be expensive. But when the pipes, cables, ventilation, and surrounding cabinets do not line up properly, the entire room becomes difficult to use. Aston Martin's Honda partnership may still become a major advantage. But during the early stages of the season, the integration process created vibration and reliability problems that prevented the team from learning about the rest of the car. And that distinction matters. When a team cannot complete laps, it does not only lose track time. It loses information. The engineers cannot properly compare aerodynamic settings. The drivers cannot understand the balance. The team cannot study tire behavior across long runs. One problem hides another. Then the car reaches a race weekend, and the team discovers weaknesses it should have found months earlier. Newey described the opening race in Australia as a wake-up call. That statement revealed how limited Aston Martin's useful preparation had been. Melbourne was not simply the beginning of the season. It was one of the first moments when the team could truly see what it had built. And what it saw was alarming. The AMR26 was not only unreliable. It was overweight. Newey admitted the chassis was a long way above the desired limit. That extra mass came partly from the difficulty of integrating the new Honda power unit, and partly from the lack of time available to optimize every component. When engineers design under pressure, they often make parts stronger and heavier because there is not enough time to study exactly how light those parts can safely become. Imagine packing for a long journey in a hurry. Instead of choosing only what you need, you throw extra clothes, extra shoes, extra chargers, and unnecessary items into the bag. The bag still closes. You can still carry it, but every step becomes harder. A Formula One car suffers in a similar way. Extra weight hurts acceleration. It increases the load on the tires. It makes direction changes more difficult. It can damage braking performance. And because the minimum weight limit applies to every team, a heavier car also loses one of the engineer's most valuable tools: ballast. Ballast is carefully placed weight that helps a team tune the balance of the car. When the basic machine is already too heavy, engineers cannot place that weight exactly where they want it. The car does not merely carry more mass. It carries mass in places that may not help performance. But here is where the story becomes more troubling. The weight problem was only one layer. The AMR26 also arrived with aggressive aerodynamic ideas. Its nose, front wing, side pods, and floor attracted attention during testing. Some observers saw shapes that looked bold and innovative. The car appeared to have the kind of visual ambition people expected from a Newey-led project. But a Formula One car is not judged by how advanced it looks while parked. It is judged by how every surface behaves at speed, under braking, through corners, over bumps, and behind another car. A design can create strong downforce in one condition and lose stability in another. It can work at one ride height, then become unpredictable when the car moves closer to the ground. It can produce impressive airflow in the wind tunnel, then struggle when vibration, heat, or structural movement appears on the rail circuit. And this is where the original AMR26 became trapped. Its aerodynamic concept could not deliver its potential because the rest of the package was not ready to support it. The chassis was heavy. The power unit installation was creating complications. Testing had been limited. The team was learning during race weekends. And the aggressive surfaces that should have generated performance became part of a machine that drivers could not fully trust. That is why the Hungarian upgrade is not simply about adding more downforce. Newey is trying to remove the obstacles that prevented the original concept from working. The team is keeping the main chassis and gearbox architecture. That means the basic structural layout remains. But Aston Martin has removed weight from both areas. The forward section of the chassis has been changed enough to require rehomologation and another crash test. That point is crucial. Formula One teams cannot freely alter major safety structures and immediately race them. The revised design must still satisfy the required impact standards. So when Aston Martin decided to reduce weight in the forward chassis, the team had to prove that the lighter structure remained safe. This is not an investigation. It is not a penalty. And it is not evidence that the original car was illegal. It is the normal safety process required when a team makes significant structural changes. But it also tells us how serious the redesign is. Teams do not normally repeat that process for a decorative update. They do it when the potential benefit is important enough to justify the cost, time, and risk. And the chassis is only one part of the package. The front suspension will remain unchanged. That may sound surprising, because the front of the car is being heavily revised. But keeping the suspension provides a stable reference. The engineers can study the effects of the new nose and aerodynamic surfaces without changing every mechanical behavior at the same time. The rear suspension, however, will be slightly revised. Even a small change at the rear can influence how the car manages its ride height, how it supports the floor, and how consistently it produces grip through different types of corners. Then comes the most visible element: the new nose. A Formula One nose does far more than hold the front wing. It controls how air begins its journey around the car. The shape affects where the airflow travels, how it interacts with the front wheels, and how much clean air reaches the floor and bodywork behind it. Think of the nose as the first person directing traffic at a crowded intersection. A small mistake at the front can create confusion everywhere else. But when the first movements are organized correctly, every section behind them works more efficiently. That is why a redesigned nose can unlock performance far beyond the nose itself. And Aston Martin is not stopping there. Newey confirmed that the aerodynamic surfaces have been substantially revised. That wording suggests the package is designed as a connected system. A new nose changes the airflow. The surfaces behind it must then respond to that new flow. The bodywork may guide the air differently. The floor may receive a cleaner or more energetic stream. The rear of the car may become more stable. One change creates another opportunity. Then another. And this is the point where the upgrade begins to sound less like a correction and more like a second attempt at the entire concept. That is why people have called it a B-Spec car. The phrase does not necessarily mean a completely new chassis. It means the machine has evolved far enough to feel like a distinct version. The first AMR26 was the rushed car. The Hungarian version is the one Newey has had more time to understand, simplify, and correct. But there is still a dangerous gap between design and reality. Aston Martin has not confirmed the rumored performance gain. No verified team statement supports a figure of 2.5 seconds. Newey himself refused to attach a specific number to the expected improvement. He said the team predicts a large step, but wants to see what happens when the car reaches the track. That caution matters. Engineers can estimate gains through simulations, wind tunnel work, and other development tools. But a predicted improvement is not the same as a lap time result. Track temperature changes performance. Tire behavior changes performance. Circuit layout changes performance. Fuel load changes performance. Even the driver's confidence can determine whether theoretical grip becomes real speed. 2.5 seconds would be an enormous gain in modern Formula One. It would not represent a normal upgrade. It would represent a transformation. And because that number remains unverified, the honest question is not whether Aston Martin has found exactly 2.5 seconds. The real question is whether Newey has removed enough of the original car's weaknesses to expose the performance that was hidden underneath. That is a very different idea. The first car may have contained promising aerodynamic concepts. But those concepts were buried under excess weight, limited testing, poor reliability, and rushed integration. The B-Spec package does not need to create every improvement from nothing. Some of the gain could come from allowing existing ideas to work properly for the first time. Imagine a runner wearing a heavy backpack, loose shoes, and a jacket that restricts movement. You could spend months teaching that runner better technique. Or you could remove the backpack, tighten the shoes, and let the body move freely.